about the issues we have here on our bulletin so we can round it up quickly.
Great.
The Supreme Court has asked Atiku to prove the case of forgery beyond reasonable doubt. The long and short of the question here is he really the one who should be doing this? He has done what he can, brought up the CSU case, pursued it to a logical conclusion, brought it before the Supreme Court. Why are they asking him to go back and prove the case?
Well, I think that we are now at a critical moment, not just in the presidential election trial, but also in our history. I remember that in 1995, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Ken Saro-Wiwa were told the tribunal that sent him to death, to the gallows. He said, "My lord, I and my colleagues alone are not on trial because all of us are before history." This was 1995, but he told the court, he said, "It's not just about the case now; it's about even you who will sentence an innocent man to death." The Supreme Court has powers, very, very wide and broad powers. Whatever it says, there will be no appeal. You remember that Atiku himself said, "Whatever the court say, the Supreme Court says is where he will rest his case." And so we are at a very critical moment now. As to the material facts of the matter, because it's sub judice, one may not be able to speak effectively into the
so much.
But to skirt around it, I think that there's a moral question here. The whole nation and indeed the entire world woke up to see how the cases in the case in US transpired, involving the CSU, the president's lawyers, as well as Mr. Atiku's lawyers, as to the issue of the gender, the issue of the name, middle name, and so on. Eventually, it did appear that the material that is in terms of the certificate the president had given to INEC, and the one the school issued had an issue of the logo being present and not being present. Well, the fact now is, Mr. Atiku is going to, submit, give the court the details of everything that has happened in the courts in the US. It is now up to the panel at the Supreme Court to, and I say this with all sorts of respect. The Supreme Court now has a very sacred and binding duty to, give this judgment to interpret what the outcome of all of these processes have been. Whatever comes out of this will be very determinant of our political and judicial history, and all eyes are indeed on them.
The APC and INEC has said whatever Atiku is doing, his CSU evidence is inadmissible. Is it in their place to say?
No. See, this is the problem I have with the way we want to run things in this country. The reality is that there is the court of public opinion, but this was the same way, even when the PEPC, the court of first instance in the presidential election tribunal challenge, election challenge, came up at the appeal court. Before the court even began to sit, we had party leaders of different, beginning to say, this is what the court is going to say, that's what the court is going to say, and we saw this outcome very, very eerily before our eyes. The fact is that by law, judges of the Supreme and appeal courts will not admit public opinion or hearsay. But the fact is that somewhere there's something called judicial notice, that the people who sit in justice or in judgment they are not aliens, they are not chatbots, they are not robots, they are not bots, they are not AI powered. Okay, these are human beings who live in our country, breathe the air we breathe, eat the food we eat, and walk the earth we walk. So there are people who will be affected one way or the other by what they do and what they don't do. So the reality is that this sort of trying to hit up the polity, trying to dismiss the case even before it is heard in court. Now that the matter is in court and judges are going to sit over it, why don't we allow the court to have its due process? And then when the outcome comes, we can all tell. But the APC saying this, PDP saying that, LP saying this and that, it's not where we really should be. Let us allow the court to have, to sit and then give good judgment and hope that in the judgment there will also be justice.
Then let's move forward. The U.S. District Court of Columbia has declined the request to force the CIA, the FBI, the IRS, the DEA, and others to release information on President Tinubu. Now, Aaron Greenspan is the one filing the emergency motion to compel the Executive Office for U.S. Attorneys and all of these services and agencies to release this document. But the thing is, they were already going to release it anyway. But they did say they would do that. They would do that starting October. It's already October 24th, and Aaron Greenspan is saying you need to release this before 31. But many people have asked, critics and people who they want to be involved in this. They've asked, what is his own? What is his? What does he in all of this? Why is he in this case? Why is he pursuing this case? They've already said they were going to do this. Why is he trying to force their hand anymore? Again, this is like a case of when someone already said they were going to do something and you want them to do it at your own time, although they did say they'll release this in October. Now, when people ask who is Aaron Greenspan, he's the owner of a website. I think it's called Plain Sight. And their motto is like, oh, the world in plain sight. They want to always do exposés on political figures all over the world. If you head to their website, you will see cases on Trump. You will see cases on the SEC versus Binance. In fact, the most recent is in that other Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, Justice Data Leaks and Russia. But then the opposition has asked again and again, why is Aaron Greenspan so interested in this case? Has he been paid? Is somebody pushing him to go and dig further and to force the hand of these U.S. agencies?
Oh well, this matters don't go away, would they? We have we've tried and labored to state the fact the way they should be. The fact is that our president is a human being. He's a citizen of Nigeria. He's lived, schooled, traveled to, and worked in the US, for quite some time. So it is natural that he could have even become the interest of random speculators or random investigators. But the fact is that, having seen how the CSU case went, perhaps Greenspan has taken it upon himself to try to say there will be a lot more than what Chicago State University, whatever, that was even about. Let me just try to check the waters to see if more can come out of it. I know that Nigerian investigative journalist in the person of David Hundeyin had written to Plain Sight to say, let's work together, let's collaborate to release.
And he was actually the one who asked for the FOIA in order for this to be released.
He was. Yeah, so, but the fact is, the president may not be so pleased or may not be happy with the fact that he's been investigated this way, especially given the way his lawyers put up a very, very robust defense against the Chicago State University releasing his, telling the world details about
what else is a Supreme Court judge asking or looking for? What else? If not that the rule of the mighty and the rule of money is speaking. And that is why we wanted to touch what we call the many contradictions of the Supreme Court. This same Supreme Court used their mouth to say that the testimony of the certificate issuer is superior to any other testimony, any other evidence. Now, there are two documents now. One was a letter written freely from an office and signed. The other one is a letter that is written under oath. Which one would the judge consider valid? Let me put it this way. Can I, as you see me today, write a letter to my former school or write a letter to anybody and say, I wish to state that I just decide to change my name. From now henceforth, please do not call me my name as it is spelled today. Call me so and so. Will anybody take it serious? It will only become serious if I say, I state this under oath, that from today henceforth, my name shall no longer be so and so. I shall from now be known and addressed and be called so and so. All other document before this time remains valid. Is it not true? That is the way it is done. A court gave an order, And the registrar sat and swear under oath that anything I say here is binding on me. If it is found not to be truth, I can go to prison or be fined for it. And a Supreme Court judge, is asking, have you proved this beyond reasonable doubt? Besides, was it even the time to begin to ask, have you proved beyond reasonable doubt, when the document had been submitted to them? Is it not subject are they not supposed to gather the documents themselves and read first and foremost?
No, please, I just wanted to make something clearer to our viewers. Can you please let them know that this was what the judge, I think that was the presiding judge, asked Atiku's lawyer. Just make it clearer in case we have people joining us for the first time. What was the question and how did they come about it, during which situation?
Okay. As you remember that yesterday there was the motion. They went to argue their motion. And Atiku's lawyer was asking, please admit this new evidence. They have it. Admit it. They have already submitted it, as a matter of fact, 5th of October. So the oral argument yesterday was simply to remind them to accept it. And the chairman, Justice Iyang OKORO, asked and said, which one should we choose? That was what he asked the judge. He said, which one should we choose? Because there is a letter written by Chicago State University stating that the president was their student and that he earned this degree. Number one, the judge forgot that they themselves, the Supreme Court, said that forgery can occur in two ways. The Supreme Court said it. The Supreme Court of the Federal Republic of Nigeria said it. And the appeal court had referred to them in many other cases that they determined. They said that forgery can occur in two ways. Either you modify an existing document or you create an entirely new one. Atiku Abubakar did not go to court to challenge whether somebody went to school, whether someone graduated or not, whether he was even issued a certificate previously or not. He went to challenge the fact that the material, the certificate that was given to INEC was not given by the university. The letter written by the university said, certain name like this passed through this school. And in the course of passing through this school, he graduated with this degree. But the law is saying if you submit a wrong document, a forged document to INEC, you're going for it. So the question the judge asked yesterday made people to begin to wonder, how can a judge ask a question that has not even bearing in the prayer of the petitioner? The petitioner is trying to say, we have deposed the registrar of the university, and the registrar of the university said it under oath that that particular certificate deposited with INEC did not emanate from the university. That's case finished. What else do you call proving beyond reasonable doubt? For a Supreme Court judge, number one, and the presiding judge in that matter to be throwing the question of, hello lawyer, which one should we choose? Completely tell you that he's biased. That is number one. And number two, for having not even unsealed the document and see the stamp of a court versus a letter that came straight from the secretary of a university. Which one is even weightier? If you are a judge, Nigerians, please, if you're a law student, I'm not asking you if you're a judge. If you're a law student and two documents come to you, One just have the letterhead of an institution. The other one is that institution that came with the stamp of a court. Which one would you take as a legally binding document? Think about it. So when our judges degenerate, they start somersaulting. This is the same Supreme Court. That's why we call it many back and forth, many contradictions of the Supreme Court. This is the same Supreme Court that denied David Leon his governorship position in Bayelsa State a night before he was sworn in, simply because his deputy was unfortunate to have had inconsistency in his name. He swore many affidavits from ABC to CJN to BBC, and the Supreme Court said these contradictions is one too many. And this same Supreme Court is speaking in defense of a man who said that he obtained a GCE certificate before the body that issued it was founded. He got a GCE certificate in 1970, vied Government College Lagos. Government College Lagos was founded in 1974. Is that not inconsistency number one? He said that he went through Richard Dale College, which was Northwest College then. And the gender who carries F when he is M. Is that not contradiction number two? He said that his certificate was issued to him in 1979, signed by somebody who was employed in 1990 something. 19 years after. Is that not contradiction number three? Assuming self that the university themselves did not say anything. Are these contradictions not so much? But the university said under oath that that particular one, that one that was submitted to INEC, it is not us that gave it. What do you call proving beyond reasonable doubt? Please tell me. This same court ruled that forfeiture is a price you pay for a crime you committed. In the case of Mohammed Abacha versus the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the lead judge in that case is the current Chief Justice of the Federation. Are this same court coming to tell us now that $460,000 as far back as 1993, somebody forfeited $460,000. By that 1993, a dollar was not up to 20 naira. When Abacha took over from 1993, Abacha held the dollar at 22 naira per dollar for the 6 years he was in power. That's to tell you the value of, now, if you divide 460,000 by 22, you know, if you multiply it by 22, you know how many millions it was in naira then. And this same court, our judiciary, is playing it like, no. It is the account that was charged, not the person. This same judiciary that is playing hanky-panky to endorse someone was the same Supreme Court in May this year, 4 months ago, that ruled that Beavers is part of the election, that IREV is part of the election, and that the Electoral Act plus the guideline work together as part of the legal document that INEC must submit to. Why are they contradicting themselves? Is it because we are now in the era of the rule of the mighty, according to P2B, and the rule of money? So the common man does not have any place again. If justice becomes a thing of the highest bidder, where are we going? According to P2B, is it not tyranny? Is it not autocracy? And if it happens like that, who is capable of containing what may happen? So that is why we thought that this night we will discuss with us what we call the many contradictions of this court. This same court was the court that ruled in the case of, I've forgotten the name of that House of Representative guy in Benue State. In fact, one of the justices of the Supreme Court said that in order to banish these people and make sure that they don't come back to, that such people, if you're found to have forged documents, that they shouldn't even be allowed to vie for office again in Nigeria. This was the same Supreme Court that is now sitting, and they are massaging another case as if we are not in the same Nigeria. Nigeria, we thought we should bring it to you people that there are too many contradictions with this Supreme Court and the judiciary in general. And only God could save Nigeria going forward. Because as P2B said in his speech, in his write-up, it's like he's now the rule of mighty and the rule of money, no longer the rule of law. I don't know if you have anything to add to this now.
Yes, Doc. You know that the corruption in our judiciary is very obvious. Can you imagine them coming out recently to tell us that they'll be looking into the case between Hope Uzodinma and the PDP together with Abga in Imo State? And all of a sudden, I think it was just within the space of 24 hours, they came again to say that no, that they've suspended it indefinitely, as if no date has been given. As if somebody went to tell them, please, see what you can do. If you can just suspend this case for now until the Imo State election is over. So I don't know, the judiciary, like one of the analysts on Arise Television was saying that the judiciary has to like come out and purge itself. Because there are a lot of things going on in our judicial system. These people, they are not straightforward. You just wonder the kind of influence that they allow from these politicians. They told us that they want to look into the case of Hope Uzodinma, you know, because before now they said APC did not have any candidate for that election. So how did you then declare APC winner of an election? You say they don't have a candidate. And all of a sudden, this current CJN allowed that case to resurface again. They've given us a date on the 31st of October that they are going to start hearing that case again, not even giving us the final ruling. All of a sudden, within the space of some hours, the Supreme Court came out again to tell us that they are suspending that case indefinitely. So you can imagine, I thought they used to say that wisdom comes with age, as in these old people we see that are, you know, our justices are made up of elderly men. We think,
but they're wise.
We think that with the level of wisdom that they have, you know, at this age, and also all the experiences they've gathered, they've seen the old and new in Nigeria, they've seen everything. Why is it that they cannot just use this opportunity? You can imagine the Supreme Court yesterday, the kind of question that was being asked to Atiku's lawyer, as if the evidence he brought before the court was not relevant. Which one do you really want us to take? As if they should select from what he was there to present. Honestly, the handwriting is already clear on the wall, as in it's very, very clear. We cannot just trust judges. We can't. For now, the way things stands, it appears they want to dance to the tune of our politicians. From the look of things, except God will have to visit them, visit them anyhow he wants to do it, whether he comes hot or he comes cold, anyhow God wants to do it, for them to stand with the people, the Nigerian masses. Because we can't just allow this. I'm just like thinking, should they uphold the sitting president as the president of Nigeria? How are we going to cope with this within the space of 3 years plus? Some people will tell you, okay, just allow him. He has been sworn in. Just allow him to finish his tenure. It's not even a matter of allow. It's not a personal something. It's not just about Tinubu. It's not about him. It's about making sure that this process is credible. It's about, rebranding Nigeria, showcasing Nigeria to the world in its real sense. Because people are now looking at us as people that can, cover all sorts of things. So we don't just want this to continue. I think that's just my thoughts. And the judiciary, they just have to stop all this manipulation. So, Doc, I don't know what you have to say about this Nadeko of a thing, because they've come out, actually, they are even like calling out the CSU, the Chicago State University. They want the Chicago State University to explain to the world how they admitted somebody that had two, I think, security numbers. That is their own call.
SSN,
sorry,
social security number.
Yes. They are like telling them, because like I've always said from the onset, for me, I felt the CSU was not really that willing to make bear some of this information that Nigerians are seeking to know. They were trying to, if not that the court even intervened. Don't forget that at a point they left Twitter, they left the social media spaces, because they felt people were like bombarding them with questions and emails and all that. Why not just come out and do the needful? Not until the court mandated them to do it, and they had to do that deposition under oath. Even during the deposition, the lawyer to Atiku was just managing to get this information out from the registrar, because it appears they were not really that willing to say the things that they needed to tell the people. So you can see Nadeko, they are really taking this step, and a big kudos to them. Even right after the election, they've been on this, saying we can't accept this. The way INEC transmitted INEC didn't even transmit. The way INEC managed the transmission of a thing, they told us they were going to transmit, they didn't. So Nadeko has gone on this, like calling out the president, the president that INEC declared, saying that you can't occupy this seat when the process that took you to that seat is not clear to the Nigerian people.
One thing.
So, Doc, I don't know what you have to say about this.
I'll say two things. Number one is that Chicago State University has not come clean yet. They have not come clean yet. You know why? When you traveled overseas to do your master's degree, that's what is called, they do your profile, they check your immigration status to know how they categorize you, to know whether they will categorize you as an international student or as a home student, because that will determine the kind of school fees you will pay. The home student usually don't pay the same kind of school fees with the international student. It is like that all over the world, in all the Western world. So how can Chicago State University tell us that they don't have information about the visa status or the passport status or the nationality status of the person? How did they rank him? Which kind of school fees did they collect from him? Did they collect school fees as a home student or as an international student? Chicago State University has not come clean.
They have not.
Happy that, and as I said, we said it earlier on, one of the graduates of Chicago State University, an American, who used to be the editor editor of their magazine, until they closed that magazine, said it point blank, that university is a cesspit of corruption. So like attracts like. That their two former presidents were, one of their presidents were jailed for corruption. President is like what we call vice chancellor. Jailed for corruption. Corruption-related matters in the handling of the university. So it is easy for anybody who wants to do the Luole runs to go vide Chicago State University, because they didn't start today. And forgive me if you live in Chicago, you and I know that Chicago is one of those states where a lot of runs are happening. Gun runs, drug runs, and what have you. And then again, that is also why the FBI file, the DEA file, the Homeland Security file, the CIA file is important, because there is no way somebody will be using a social security number and all of a sudden you flunk it and you go get another one. Something must have happened in that one that made you dump it and pick a new one. And I tell you that thing that happened, for someone to drop it and pick, there must have been an alert that person got somewhere that the authority is watching you. Drop this because it's going to expose you. Pick this particular one. And I tell you, when we see what is in the Homeland Security file, we will know what happened, when, who owns which SSN number, while it was flipped, when it was flipped, and what brought about the whole flipping scenario. That is it. So the news going around that the US court has denied the approval of the files to be released, I want to correct the impression, the wrong impression people have, because I got a lot of people sending me texts today. Oh, what happened? Does it mean that that all the effort is gone? I said no. Read and listen. Aaron Greenspan submitted an emergency motion. All right. Emergency motion means, please, these people are coming to intervene to delay this process. Don't listen to them. Release this thing. It is important and it is urgent. So number one, let's clear things here. Number one is that whatever DEA, FBI, and all these agencies release will not be tendered as an evidence at the Supreme Court of Nigeria, because Aaron Greenspan and his blog, David Hundeyi, all of them, they are not a party to these election petitions. Whatever information they release is for our own consumption as Nigerians. Fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I don't know what was the last thing you heard me say, please?
I got lost at a point because I wasn't hearing you at all.
Okay. I was saying that, okay, because I don't know if where I am, my communication got breached. The news that popped up today that the U.S. court has denied Aaron Greenspan, has refused to grant prayer to release FBI file. I think the way they worded it was wrong, because if you look at it, it looks like, hey, so it's not going to work again. And a lot of people start buzzing my phone. And I told them, no, that is not what happened in court yesterday. The emergency motion that was submitted by Aaron Greenspan was denied. That emergency motion was for the effort of the president's team to be disregarded so that FBI can go ahead and other agencies to release the document, but the court denied it. The court denied it, not saying it will not happen, but the court denied that emergency motion so that they could give the president's team the right of fair hearing. Let them come and state their own case. That's all. And after they finish stating their own case, we will now know whether their case will be so strong. Remember that in the case of Chicago State University, the same thing happened. Atiku's lawyer was pushing, and these people quickly ran to intervene. And then they adjourned. And the judge said, I'm going to hear everybody. Bring your case. He said to the present team, tell me why I should not grant the prayer of the Atiku. And after he finished his argument, the judge says, unfortunately, in your case, the argument is not strong enough. I am going to grant it. Chicago State University, go ahead now. So that is what happened. It's only delayed, but it's not denied. Okay. The highest it can take is a matter of 1 or 2 weeks. This whole thing will be finished. And then finally, we can have this. And as I said, it is not a document that we need for the appeal for the Supreme Court as an official document. People were saying, let it be released so that when the Supreme Court judges hear what is in it, it could touch their conscience. But as I'm saying, these people, their conscience looks seared, it looks toughened now. It doesn't look like these are people who are carrying an affidavit, a sworn deposition, and they are still asking, which one do you want us to choose?
So, Doc, this is the title you are trying to correct, right?
Yes, relief for Tinubu denies Greenspan motion to fast. Okay, this one is even good. This one says, okay, this is a People's Gazette, of course. They will present it well. You see, it says, denies Greenspan's motion to fast track.
Fast track, to do it quickly.
Track, yes. Mm-hmm. They denied the motion to fast track. The implication of granting his motion means that the intervener will be disregarded. And the judge said, no, I'm not going to do it. Let me hear everybody, which is okay. Don't worry. That is exactly where you hear that the wheel of justice may grind slowly. It's not the denial of justice we experience in Nigeria, like what our Supreme Court is doing in Imo State, because that is a clear-cut case of halting the wheel of justice, delaying justice, which amount to denying justice. Okay, if with all the money that we are saying we don't have in Nigeria, the Supreme Court wants INEC to go and balloon another millions in Imo State. Now, Labour Party that was not even in existence as a political party in Imo State in 2019 is standing for election now. What if Labour Party wins? Will the Supreme Court hear and say, oh, give Ihedioha his mandate? If Ihedioha's mandate is given, will they now say, Ihedioha, when you finish, hand over to Labour Party who won? How do they wriggle out of all these things?
They are just complicating everything, honestly.
Clear constitutional crisis that they're deliberately creating. And that's why I say that these people, they are retrogressing the wheel of democracy in Nigeria instead of progressing it. And it is unfortunate. It's quite unfortunate.
So, Doc, I wanted us to talk about what is happening currently in India. I don't know if you watched this video where an analyst was talking about the level of opportunities, coming up in India because of their political and stabilized environment.
The climate, yes.
So many companies of the world, they are looking for cheap labor. And, because America is not parlaying with China now, so it's affecting them. Most American companies don't want to go to China anymore, for their businesses. So they are like looking at other countries with population where they can get cheap labor. And this person was saying that Nigeria stands a very good chance, of getting some of these opportunities. But we cannot because of the politics in Nigeria, the way our naira is falling, how do I even put it? You can't determine what happens tomorrow. So
I wrote a paper that I presented in United Arab Emirates sometime in 2015. It was an emerging market conference board. Of course, I had a lot of people coming from India and co. Many of them I researched together with them. The title of the paper is The Impact of Governance Environment. The impact of governance environment in the economic and its effect in economic development of countries. Governance environment. Now, those companies are not coming to Nigeria because of the environment, the governance climate. And most times it is traceable to the rule of law. For instance, in the Western world, if they steal money in your credit card, the credit card company will pay. Is it not true? But if they steal in your debit card, you have to explain yourself well. That is why a lot of people do transactions via their credit card for safety. I used to have an account with a finance company. I've never met the company. And the finance company went under. And the regulatory body that is in charge, just like what we call the National Reinsurance Company in Nigeria, they wrote to me. They said, this company has gone under. Do you want us to process your money and return it to you? Or do you want the new company that acquired it to reach you and discuss with you whether you continue with them or return them? I said, please, you should process my money and return it to me. That is rule of law. Will I not be disposed to putting my money in that place? You see, now I have looked beyond the company's capability. I have anchored my hope of safety on the regulatory framework. When banks go under in Nigeria, who comes to your rescue? When stock brokerage firms go bankrupt in Nigeria, who comes to your rescue? People's money were trapped in Savannah Bank till today. Who came to their rescue? Now, companies are traveling all the way from America to India to establish factory. From Europe to India to establish factory. Look at the map of the world. Look at Nigeria, where it is located. How many hours will you fly from Nigeria and you're in UK? 6 hours. The person who started traveling to Lagos, I'm traveling to Abuja from Enugu or to Lagos from Abuja, you would have gotten to London and you're resting before, and they're still on their way. In fact, traffic could even keep you on the street of Nigeria from airport to Lekki for 6 hours. Even by ship. Just take a look. Do you know Suez Canal? the Suez Canal that is somewhere around Egypt. It's one little canal like these. Two ships cannot pass that place. And that is where major cargo that is coming from China and co, they had to pass through to come and deliver things in Europe. But if it is from Nigeria, you are in an open sea. We have everything to our advantage. We just have it bad with leadership. A few men who are corrupt, who want to pocket Nigeria and cause everybody a pain. So it is not an area that is unfamiliar to me. It is something that I have written as theses, written as seminar papers, presented it in South Africa, presented it in Dubai. It is our leaders that is killing Nigerian economy. Look at, what are you talking? Ordinary America, you cannot ship yam officially from Nigeria to America because we don't have the standard board where to certify it. People have to, first of all, carry yam into Ghana. So all the yam you eat in America and sometimes in Europe are Nigerian yams, but they are product of Ghana because Ghana was able to meet the standard of Food and Drug Administration of the USA. Is it not a shame? Is it not a shame? What does it cost? So that is it. Let's call it a night, please.
Sorry, Doc, thank you very much. Honestly, what is happening in Nigeria, I feel so bad each time I look at the economical state of our people. There are people that can't even afford 3 square meal. And look at the kind of, will I call it, young men going into criminality. Most of them don't even have anything doing. And these are people that if we were to find ourselves in a very good environment, they would have been taught one skill or the other and be given job opportunities. But these things, our politicians don't pay attention to things like this. They are just after spending their millions during election. Then when they come into office, they are just looking for a way to recover that money quick before anything happens. I don't even know if you've heard that this current administration is borrowing money, and at the same time, they are approving this money that they send into people's accounts that opens door for even more corruption. Instead of them to manage the little resources we have currently, they will tell you they want to transfer to alleviate poverty, when it's them that initiated poverty, removing subsidy without any proper planning. These are some of the things that we are talking about. When you ask people, okay, Rufai tweeted and he said, if these people had come for debate during the election, we wouldn't have found ourselves in the state we are today.
Exactly.
But they never came because this debate makes you, to go and research, you plan, you document, you think. But this current president never provided himself for any debate, even one debate. And you see Festus Kayamodem and Fani Kayode and other spokespersons, they will come out, they will defend. These are people that studied law. They will defend this person to the core, even without him coming out to debate with other presidential candidates. Now, look at the mess we are in. Do you know how much Naira is today? And the dollar against the Naira, do you know how much it is? And there is nothing to cushion all these effects. The masses are the one bearing it on them, not our politicians, because the fuel they use for their car is not from their pockets. The food they eat, they don't see to eat. The houses they are living, their mates, the payments, and all the people around them, they don't pay from their pockets. They use the poor people's money that they pay tax or taxes. You see people that are suffering, no light in Nigeria, businesses are crumbling. Then out of the little you are making, you are mandated to pay tax. And then when you pay this tax, our politicians will be living big on these taxes that our people pay. So these are some of the things that we keep seeing, that if you really want to serve Nigeria, please, all these corruptions, we should just eradicate them. And the judiciary stands in the best position to help sanitize Nigeria, sanitize our politics, sanitize our electoral process. Let things be done in a good way so that we can move forward. If you see the benefit India is enjoying now, honestly, India is enjoying very big opportunities because they've worked so much. This present, there are two, I think the last two administrations, they've really done well in repositioning India because they want the progress of their people. Don't forget that the last election they had, they never went to court. There was no problem, despite them having more population than Nigeria. So you can see where we are. All this problem, we keep blaming our politicians because these people, they don't even mean well for the Nigerian people. Doc, please, before we go, let's check some of these comments that we have here. I want to really appreciate Simon, who has Simon Skymona. Thank you very much for giving us a super sticker. That's nice of you.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you. And then we have this person, Doc. Over to you.
Now we are celebrating $11 billion being awarded to Nigeria, the same way the Supreme Court will pass the verdict. It's not money awarded to Nigeria. It is money Nigeria would have spent in damages that the court says no. So no money is coming though.
Okay.
The same way the Supreme Court will pass the verdict in favor of ordinary Nigerians that are suffering in the mix of plenty. Thank you. Amen. Prosper. Please, I say amen to that. Okay, what else again? I hope all the past judgments are compiled to support the current appeals. Of course, they cited all those judgments. They cited it. They referred to it. They quoted them. They referred to it. Of course. If you read their briefs that they submitted, you see it there. So any attempt to set aside is tantamount to swallowing their own vomit. But if so, how can the Supreme Court be defaulted? Well, so far they gave a judgment that remember that this Imo State thing, the PDP the PDP told them point blank, we're not asking you to revisit. We're asking you to enforce your judgment. You gave this judgment, enforce it. Enforcement simply means INEC give these people certificate of return. Because until the court pronounces that statement, INEC cannot do it. That is it. So what do we call eating vomit here? This one is, they have their vomit mixed with their urine and they are ready to, Nigeria as a nation was also a Philip Lugard for jazz, I can imagine. It is so much disappointing for a judge of the Supreme Court of Nigeria to compare a written letter on letterhead and the position of the court as to the one to rely on. Thank you. People are reasoning like me. I was wondering if I'm just being too distinct. Indeed. 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 Godwin, thank you. They don't have the fear of God